Today I'm going to discuss a topic that has a very subtle difference in terms of the art of debugging, and the first is what you call as the traditional GDB cross debugging, and the new one here, which I saw in Visual Studio 2022 or also in 2019, is the remote debugging. So this cross debugging versus remote debugging looks very the same, but actually the difference is night and day. So I have a small code here, main.cpp, okay, and I compiled it using a cross compiler. This is one of the difference now, because my machine here in Ubuntu is an Intel x86-64, and I have here in the machine the presence of a cross compiler. That's one of the difference. So -G, -O, main CPP there, and then whatever is built here, I'm gonna copy it to the remote machine running ARM64. There, it's copied. And here, let me log into that remote machine. If you know what this means, that this distro means, you will recognize that this is a Jetson Nano ARM64 board. A Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 will also work here the same equally. You can see the output there, and we can execute it here. Okay. Then notice that I'm going to debug now. Type GDB server. So this one is listening. I'm going to go back here to my Ubuntu machine, and I'm going to connect to the Jetson Nano board, giving it like that, and open a window, source code, and then I'm going to set the IP address to connect to the Jetson board. And there, they are connected. You can see that the debugging client is connected here. I'm going to put a breakpoint in the main function. I'm going to type continue. So we are now debugging here. So execution is running here, and we're now step debugging. Click next, and the message is printed here. And then I'm going to quit. Done. So, okay, let's summarize what we just do here. We needed this cross compiler in our machine, in our Ubuntu, to compile this and produce main. And then we copy it, and then we relied on the GDB server to establish a connection so that we can remote debug. Okay. This is the traditional way that's been done so far. Now let me introduce something new that I found out in Visual Studio. So let me launch Visual Studio here. I'll create a new project, and then a C++, and then here select Linux. This Linux option here will only be available if you check the Linux C++ in the Visual Studio installer. Here, console, and I'm going to select empty project. And it's done. And I'm going to paste the same code base here, this guy. And notice carefully the subtle difference. I'm going to add a file, main.cpp. And paste the same code. Save. Notice carefully, and this might not be in your setting, but it is set here in my Visual Studio as I've used this a while ago. This connection here, 192.168.2.136, this is the Jetson board, okay? And also, in my Windows here, we have a Project 7, okay? Well, no binaries yet. But then, since the IP address here is connected to an ARM64, if I build here, build, and it's gonna build for an ARM64, let me try here. The bin, and the file type of this guy, look and behold, it's an ARM64. And take note that I don't have an ARM64 cross-compiler present in my Windows machine right now. I only have Visual Studio, and I do not have any ARM64 cross-compiler. So what happened here is Visual Studio used the compiler of the target. That is one of the difference when we do it a while ago here, because here we use the compiler in Ubuntu. Here in Visual Studio, it used the compiler of Jetson board. Okay, let me try to experiment that. Okay, let's see where the compiler is. Let us try to watch this file. I notify, wait. ME access. I'm just curious here. So now it's watching. Let me try to build, let me try to clean this. And let me try to build. See? Gotcha. Gotcha. Whereas in our Ubuntu here, it used the compiler of Ubuntu to do cross-compilation. Here, this Visual Studio here is using the compiler of the target. This is not cross-compilation, guys. This is remote compilation. That is what I'm trying to demonstrate here. These two things are different. And how about the debugging? Let's put a breakpoint here and let me debug now. And we hit a breakpoint, but this is not running in my Windows. If we try to check here who is responsible for that, the name is Project 7. It's running, hosted by PID 1099. And it's GDB. Let me see. (10976). And that would be bash. Okay, so this would be the hierarchy. So bash is hosting the server side, although I have a GDB server here, but it's not using that. It's using GDB. I'm not sure if it's using this GDB here. Okay, let us stop his. Let's try to watch it using iNotify again. And let's try to watch this guy here. Let's try to request debugging. And indeed, it's the one being used. Okay. So what we have seen here are two different things. Cross compilation and remote compilation are not the same thing. Let me modify a bit here. So what's the IP address of this machine here? 32. Let me clean this and let me try to add that as my new target now. It's not yet here, so let us connect there. Does it have SSH? Let me check. Yep, it does have an SSH. Add 192.168.2.32. Connect, yes. Or let me select this. Okay, so it's set here. So now it's an X64. So let me do a build here. And just like a parasite, it is now using the compiler here. And if we debug this, and here there should be a project 7. And indeed there is, and hosted by (5793) GDB. Stop. So let me check here. Then the output of this, and look and behold, it's now x86-64. So in the Windows side of things, it's now, whereas a while ago it built ARM64, now it built x86-64. But the compiler that is used to do these two builds is not here down in Windows. I don't have cross compilers. It's done remotely using remote compilation, and that is the difference between cross compilation and remote compilation. This is all for now. Thank you.